So now I will turn it over to Jeff. Master
Take it away, Jeff.
Yeah, well, we are very fortunate to have Meherwan Mistry with us. There are not too many people left who met Baba and have lived to tell it. Most of them have passed on. He's been with Baba since birth. In fact, Baba gave him his name, right? Meherwan?
You need to unmute. There you go.
Anyway, so Meherwan's mother was one of the Dada Chanjis, and they go all the way back to Baba's first secretary, Chanji, who, that's a beautiful story. I'm going to ask him to share that and find out about his own times with Baba. And I think you'll enjoy it. And then toward the end would be nice to open up to questions and answers. So right from what? You're in Pennsylvania now, aren't you, Meherwan?
Yes.
Yeah.
Matamoros.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you first, there was a very touching story about Baba, how Chanji's first meeting with Baba.
Okay, so we start from Chanji's story. That's a little bit long story, Jeff, but and I will get to it very shortly.
Yeah.
What I'd like to do is I keep forgetting this one story, which I always want to say, but I've never said it so far.
Go for it.
Yeah. So this is the first time it came to me this evening, so I said I'm going to do it. And the reason is that this story is almost 40 years later after Chanji came to Baba. And this happened in 1962. So it was way after the Chanji family came to Baba. And the instructive part of the story is that he always remembers us before we remember him. His remembrance of us is before we remember him. And so this is the story. When my grandmother died on my father's side, this was before I was born, she had some little jewelry left, and the jewelry was distributed amongst her family members. And the piece of simple jewelry was kept by my grandfather, and he did not want to give it away. All the other, his daughters wanted that one piece of jewelry, although it was a very simple, but very sweet piece of necklace. So he didn't part with it. Finally, in 1960, when we had the Naujut ceremony done by Baba for the three brothers, me and my brothers following Sarosh, my grandfather gifted that to my mother. And then she kept it for a while. She had no occasion to wear it. And then in 1962, it was Mera's 55th birthday that was going to be celebrated in Merazad. And everybody was asked that they should come there, and they were allowed to give any gift to Mera for her birthday. Baba allowed that celebration to be held in Merazad. So my mother decided to give her that necklace that she received from her father-in-law. So later on, when Mera had received all the gifts, she showed it to Baba, and Baba said, "This is such a lovely necklace, but where am I going to wear this? I'll never be able to wear this." So Baba said, keep it for now. A little while, few years passed by. Mera must be going through little possessions in the cupboard, and she comes across that necklace again. And then she again asked Baba, Baba, what will I do with this necklace? You had asked me to keep it aside. Baba says, next time when Rhoda comes here, remind me. I'll give it to her as my wedding gift to Meherwan's wife. And it so happened that a few years later, when my mom was there in Mehera's, he asked Mehera, bring that necklace. And then he gave it to my mom saying, this is for Meherwan's wife. And then she kept it, of course. And then finally in 1975, when we did get married, my mom gave her that necklace. It's a very simple necklace, not very elaborate or fancy, but very sweet. So he remembered Zenobia even before Zenobia was 12 years old then. We had not even met. And yet he remembered her. Then I look back on it and I think to myself, but why not Sarosh? Sarosh also his wife, Meruk. But Meruk was born in a Baba's family. Baba did her Navjot too. So here he was telling Zenobia, come here. There she is. Can you see her?
Not yet.
Come
There
on.
she is.
And so he's telling Zenobia that I thought of you before you even came to know of me. So that's the story that
Beautiful.
I always have in mind, but I always forget because the end of the. So that
Well,
was,
but now, do you have the necklace there?
no,
Yes.
we have it. Yes, she has it with her.
Yeah.
So that, and none of the other so now it went to my mom, and from my mom it came to Zenobia.
Beautiful.
So then now you want to hear about Chanji.
Well, how about, let's start then with your first conscious recollection of meeting Baba. How does that sound?
Okay.
Now you're jerking around a little bit. I don't know, Angela?
No, it's me. It's just me. I'm fidgety. So I keep moving on my chair.
No, well, no, but there's also some kind of little problem with the camera.
Oh,
But is there anybody that can do it
And the
from where?
sound.
I think it's a network problem, Jeff.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's a network.
Yeah.
He pays the discount to the price for the network, and that's no. But anyway, go ahead, Meherwan.
yes. So Alan, Alan. Hi, Alan. He's right under your picture, Jeff. So that.
Yeah.
What was your question, Jeff? I
Yeah,
forget.
that your first conscious recollection of meeting Baba.
That was when we were kids. I must be maybe like 5 years old or something like that. And it was at my aunt's place in Ashiana in Bombay. And at that time, Baba used to come to Bombay quite frequently, passing through, going to various places. The Bombay would be one of the stops. And many a times when he would stop there, either coming and going, he would allow us to come and visit there. And sometimes he would give darshan too. So those were my first memories of Baba as a young kid.
Now,
Yeah.
had your parents said that who Baba was? Did you have already kind of a knowing of who Baba was, or were you just going to meet this grandfatherly man?
No,
Did you?
No. I had a grandfather right in the house, two grandfathers I had, but Baba was different. See, it's like any other kid growing up in a Baba family. So not much of a love story there of how you come to Baba. That's what I really like to hear, stories of how he draws his lovers to him. But children born into Baba lovers families, it's a natural thing, it's spontaneous for them. They grow up with that. Baba's pictures everywhere on the wall. Talk about Baba, meetings, playing around with other people who know of Baba. So it's a very natural thing for them. And so also it was for us. But at the same time, we would see our elders, how their relationship with Baba would be with respect and how they would talk about him. And then when you're a kid, they say, this is Baba. Who's Baba? Baba is Khodaiji, God. But what is the concept of God for a kid? Is God. But for that matter, when I look back, what is the concept of an adult about God? So their concepts are more prejudiced and biased than a child in their innocence. They accept very readily whatever they are told by their parents. And that is also how we form our own prejudices in life as we grow up. How does it come from? It comes from our parents, from the company we keep, from associations we have. And that's what forms in our heads. And it's very difficult to get rid of later on in life.
Yeah.
So we grow up in that kind of a family. There's Baba lovers, children of Baba lovers. And it was very natural. And even as kids, we would realize that we could only behave in certain ways. Like we could disobey our parents, or we could talk back to them. We would be able to get them annoyed enough to give us a spanking. But these kind of behaviors, it would never be in front of Baba. So even as kids, we have that delineation in the relationship with Baba. We knew that inwardly. And it was the same with adults too. Each one had their own, you could relate with Baba very naturally. Baba was very natural and you could relate with him very naturally, but you also at the same time, you knew that there was a line you couldn't cross. So, and each
Beautiful.
one was different, yeah. So, but it was like that. So the things I remember, even now I remember is he would tease me. He would say, do you love me? So I would say, yes, Baba. But then he would say, but you love your mom a little bit more, don't you? So then I would look at my mom, she would be standing there. So I would say yes. So then my mom would tell me later on, you must not say that to Baba. If he tells you that do you love me more or you love your mom more, you say, I love you more. So the next time again, the same thing would happen the next day. He says, do you love me more or you do love your mom more? So now this time I would say, no, Baba, I love you. So then he would be most happier with a big smile. So see, he loves me more than he loves his mom. It's like, so Baba was just like a little child with a child.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and he made you feel very natural in his presence. A child, and everybody around him had a sense of belonging there. Whether it be the queen, or it could be the farmer, or it could be the poor servant, whoever it was there, all next to him, seated there, in that same place of their father. They belonged there. So it was like that, very natural. And then I remember he would do this. He would play with his fingers very beautifully and very, that, what do you call that?
Agile.
It's twiddly, like an incy spider. Yeah, incy spider. So he would do that, and I would be looking at it, and he says, "Now you do it." And I could never do with the grace that he did it. It was so nice and beautiful. Baba was very elegant too in his gestures. So however much I tried to do, imitate what he was doing, I couldn't do that. So I remember those things, these little things.
This is when you were around 5,
Yeah.
or your earlier.
Earliest
Any
memory.
other memories that you can think of as you got older?
Yeah. Then one day he asked, I was there, and all of a sudden he looks at me and says, "Sing a song." So I was totally taken off guard. I'd never sung a song in front of anybody. And now Baba is telling me to sing a song, and there are so many people around him there. But I also knew that when Baba asks you to do something, you have to do it. So what to sing now? I'm prepared to sing, but I'm blank. My mind is blank. What to sing to Baba? So what had happened was just a few days before on the radio, our entertainment was radio. We had no TV at that time. And so our only entertainment was radio and the gramophone. So on the radio, I would be hearing these songs, these English songs. And the latest song was Ke Sara Sara. It was sung by Doris Day. And it was from the movie The Man Who Knew Too Much. So that song came into my head, and I started singing that song. So Baba listened very attentively. And then he said, very good. He says, oh, very good. And then my brother, Falu, he's next to me, and he says, now you sing a song. So Falu then he started singing the song, Silent Night, Holy Night. It was, I think it was in May or June. He was singing that Christmas. Silent Night and Holy. And Baba liked that too very much. This is very good. And then he made us both go and sing that to Mera. Baba had come there to Bombay at that time with the women. So they were there in the Ashiana at that time. So he made us go and sing the same songs before Mera and Mani. They were there in Ashiana. So I remember that. And then these were the earliest of my memories.
Did he give you instructions on how you should do in school and everything? Any encouragement or anything that he stated that he would like you to do?
Baba was always encouraging. He would tell us to study hard. You'd always ask my mom, are they behaving? Are they behaving themselves? And my mom would always say, yes, Papa, they are. Although we would not. So we were very mischievous. We would drive our mom crazy to the point of desperation. I would start up, and then I would act up. And then after a while, if I quietened down, Falu would pick up. And then after a while, he would quieten down, and then so she would just get so exasperated, and then the only thing that would work, she would not be able to catch us. We would run away from her. So the only thing that would work was in desperation, she would threaten us. She would say, next time Baba's going to ask me how you all are behaving, I'm going to tell them all about this. I'm going to really tell him. And that's the only threat that worked, because we knew, even as kids, we knew that if Baba gave us any orders, then we would be stuck with them and we would have to obey them. So, and it would be for life. Whatever order he gave, that would be for life. So even as kids, we knew that. And that was the only threat that worked on us. But she never complained. Better Baba would ask her, how are the kids behaving? And she would say, Baba, they are good. So I remember that. My greatest contact time with Baba was for a period of about 10 years, between 1957 and 1967. And those were periods in Pune during our summer vacations in school. In 68, we didn't even go to Pune. Baba didn't even allow us to come to Pune. And in 67 was the last year that he allowed us to come, and was few occasions that we could see Baba at that time. Because Baba had started on his seclusion. But from 57 to 67 was the period of exposure I had, because he allowed me to visit with my grandpa in Guru Prasad while he was staying at Mobo's Hotel in Pune, which was right next to, Mobo's Hotel was a palace itself, but much smaller in size than Guru Prasad. These were the summer palaces of the Maharajas at that time. And so during that period of summers from school, summer vacation from school, he would be there from say end of April to beginning of June. So for a period of like 5 to 6 weeks, about 6 weeks, I would have that opportunity of going with my grandpa, Nauroji. Nauroji was the brother of Chanji, Framros Dada Chanji. They were brothers. So I would go with him to go to Guru Prasad and be with Baba. So that was my exposure to Baba. So
can you remember some of those times there, some of the incidents from?
Yeah, very well. Those memories are so vivid, and it comes alive every time I talk. And so for me also, it's a great enjoyment to relive those memories. So, but if you ask me to talk about it, like I can't do it then, but if some situation comes up or you ask a particular question, then I can talk about those things. But if you tell me just talk about like random, it would not be easy for me to do that.
Meherwan, what were you thinking when you were standing behind Baba like this at Guru Prasad?
Oh, yeah. See, we were the kids there, and at that time, yeah, that's Falu. That's my brother Falu. Yeah, yeah. So we in Guru Prasad, there would be a lot of people there when Baba would be in the main hall. That's in the main hall, and Baba would be holding darshan programs there. And so there would be fan. There would be a fan, a ceiling fan. But in Pune, the electricity would go off for a couple of hours every day. It was, and so we would, as kids, would stand behind Baba and fan him. So so we would be fanning Baba there. Surab Rustam, they would be there as well. So I remember those moments very well. That's Francis. Baba just sat down on the sofa and he's taking off his slippers, sandals from his feet. Yeah, that's the main hall in Guru Prasad. Yeah.
You were part of the when Baba was playing La Risque, some of those card games with the men.
Yes.
Can you share some of that?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you two incidents of that game. It was a very simple game. It was a very simple card game, and Baba enjoyed it. And basically, there would be about 10 or 12 people. They would sit in a circle around Baba. Baba would be sitting in his chair in the side room. The picture we saw was the main room, but there was a side room there. And he would sit in the chair and 10, 12 people around. Sometimes there would be 20 people over the weekends when more would come. But normally it would be about 10 or 12. And they would sit around, and every other person in that circle would be the opponent team, Baba's opponent team. So Baba is sitting in the chair, the two people next to him would be the opponent team, Baba's team, and so forth. And then the cards would be dealt out and the game would be played. And the ones with the higher cards, like the ace and the king and queen, so who had that run would be able to win the game. Now, I didn't like to, I don't like cards, but I enjoyed the game that was being played with Baba. And what my job was to collect the cards that would be thrown in the middle of the circle after they were dealt, pick them up and then shuffle and then serve. And then I would go outside of the circle and sit there next to my grandpa. So one day Baba said to me, why don't you join in? So I said, Baba, this is fine. I don't, I can, yeah. I said, no, but Baba, I don't know how to play the cards. So Baba said, learn. So then I would sit next to my grandpa and then I learned how that game was played. It was, like I said, very simple. Even as a kid, I could follow what was going on. So then I would also join in the team. But the funny thing I noticed was that my grandpa, when the team was first assembled, when Baba says, let's play cards, that would be his sign to play cards, let's play cards. So then everybody would sit around in that circle. Now, if he found my grandpa found himself to be sitting next to a person who would be, that he would be on Baba's team, he would make it a point to walk around him and go on the other side of that person. So he would now be in the opposing team, or Baba's opposing team. So I would notice that he always plays the member of the opposing team, not on Baba's team. And why is that so? He would invariably, the opposing team would invariably lose. Not all the time, but most of the time they would lose. And they would have to rub their noses on the floor. The rules of the game was the losing team had to bend over and rub their nose on the carpet. And this is how they would rub their nose. They would lean forward. They're sitting down on the floor. They would just lean forward and rub their nose on the carpet in front of Baba. Everyone would do it once or twice, maybe thrice at the most. But this old man would keep rubbing his nose 5, 6, 7 times. It would become red after a while. After the losing streaks, couple of losing streaks, and he would keep rubbing his nose, it would become red. And I would notice that. I was a very observant person, even as a kid there. So one day, I noticed these 2 things that he would do. First of all, he would sit in Baba's opposing team. And the second of all, he would keep on rubbing his nose. He would be the last one to stop doing it. And Baba never said anything. Baba never objected to that, never said a word. So one day as we were walking back to the hotel, after Baba retired that day, I said, Grandpa, I noticed that you intentionally seek out to be on Baba's opposite team. And not only that, why do you keep rubbing your nose for such a long time? People do it 2 and 3 times, and you keep doing it 5 and 6 times, 7 times. So what's all the reason for this? Now, my grandpa, Navroji, he was a man of few words. In the whole day, he would speak maybe 4 or 5 sentences. It would be like if he started talking, everybody else would keep quiet and listen. What is he saying? What is the old man saying? So all the attention would be on him, because he would speak so little. So then he just looks at me and says, he was a little bit surprised. When I said that, he was surprised. Oh, I have been noticed. What he was doing has been noticed by his grandkid. So then he tells me that, do you realize how fortunate it is to rub nose before Baba? That's the only one sentence he said to me. And he says, do you realize how great fortune it is to rub your nose in front of Baba? And so that struck me. So, yes, there was a well-intentioned purpose behind what he was doing. So that was what the game. It was Baba really enjoyed that game. It gives me, it relieves the pressure on my head of his work. All these discussions, the discourses and things like that. Baba would say, I'm getting a headache now, stop it. Let's play cards. So then he would start playing cards. So I remember that. That would be in the afternoons.
Didn't you do something funny with the cards?
Oh,
One-
yeah, yeah.
one-
Yeah. So now the rules were very simple rules, but very strict. But the rules were very no cheating. The rule was no cheating. And no cheating means you don't look into the cards of the other person next to you. Now that was not easy because you're sitting close to each other in a circle. And just by turning your heads, you could easily get a glance of the cards of the other person. So you have to make an effort not to look on the cards of the other person. Now, one day I do remember, Baba, there was a person on Baba's team, and he must have looked, and Baba caught him. Baba said, "You looked." And to the great surprise of others, he challenged Baba. He said, "No, Baba, I didn't look." So Baba's mood got turned off. Baba said, "You looked." Baba said the second time. He says, "No, Baba, I didn't." Now this guy had been with Baba for a while. He was not a newcomer, so he knew how people behaved with Baba and around him. So he again said, "No, Baba, I didn't look." So this time Baba got very annoyed and just threw down his cards. And that was the end of the game. And no more card games for that day. And now what happened was, not only was the rest of the people around him was mad at this person. That he did, being with Baba for so long, he still does not realize what he has just done. Baba said twice to him that he looked, and he told Baba, "No, I didn't look." So he was telling Baba that Baba didn't know what he was telling me. So that was not good. So that was one thing I still remember. So these kind of lapses do happen, and then I cheated myself once, and this is how it happened. I was the one to collect the cards when the cards would be thrown in and the game would be over. And as the people are rubbing their noses, I would go in the middle of the circle, pick up the cards, and then shuffle them, and then start dealing. And when you deal, you give Baba cards to first, and then all the people around. And it would depend. Sometimes if there are more people, it would be 3 cards each. Sometimes there were less people, you could have 4 cards each. But usually it would be something between 3 and 4. So we'd deal out the cards, and so we'd deal Baba the cards and go around the circle. So I said to myself, you see how the mind works. It's very easy. All I have to do is I knew the cards. If I pick up a king and a queen, or an ace and one of these heavy, 2 of them in the same, like hearts or the spades, and then put them on the bottom, and then put the other cards on top of that, and shuffle only the top portion, leaving the lower portion unshuffled. And the last shuffle I would do is pull out those cards and put it on the top, and those are the ones that I would serve Baba. So I thought I would be able to do this and get away with it. So when Baba's team would be losing, I would decide to take it upon myself and to do this, cheating in short. So I would give it to Baba, and then Baba would just take the cards, and then he would continue with the conversation that's going on that I would be dealing. And then he would look at his cards. And then the first time he looked at me and he told me, "Are you shuffling properly?" I said, "Yes, Baba, I'm shuffling." He said, "Are you shuffling good?" I said, "Yes, Baba, I shuffled very good." So then when I said the third time, he said, "Are you cheating?" And then I had to admit, I said, "Yes, Baba." No, actually, I let the team win once or twice. It happened, but I would do it consecutively. I would do it one time, and then after a little time would go by, do it another time. So it would be, but then eventually, after the third time or so, Baba caught me and says, "Are you cheating?" And I had to say, "Yes, Baba." So he says, "Come here." So and he twisted my ear like this, and he would make a big gesture with his face as if he's doing it with a very strong force, but he was very gentle. He says, "But no more now." So he allowed me to think that I was getting away with it. At the same time, he knew all along. So it was like that. He always knew, but he would act. His game was a game of pretense, of ignorance. Knowing everything, he would pretend as if he knew nothing. And then when I look back on it, on how things happened, without the pretense, the game of pretense that he plays with us, of ignorance, of not knowing, is because of his mercy, of his compassion. Just imagine if someone who knows everything about you, past, present, and future, of our past lives and the lives to come, we would feel totally naked in his presence. We would not be able to come into his presence, physical presence. So he acts ignorant and puts us at ease. What did you eat? Did you sleep good? And things like that. He will ask us questions. What is going to happen? As if he does not know anything. So that's the game he plays. The all-knowing one pretends as if he does not know anything. But at the same time, he lets us know. When the time is there, he lets us know that he knows. So that was the game with the lies. It was very fun time.
What about your teenage years? Any things that Baba kind of brought home to you during those years?
Teenage years. Well, part of that period of time was my teenage years too.
Your Navrat in front of Baba? You did your Navrat in front of Baba?
Yes, me and my two brothers, Falu and Sarosh. In 1960, we had our Nojo. Yeah, he did that. Yeah, that's a one. Yeah, that's to the left is me, and in the middle is Falu, and the youngest one is Sarosh. Yeah, so that's the main holiday group aside, and that was, yeah. Where did you get all these? Oh, Meherwan Travels, yes. Right, that's the one. Yeah. Hi, Renee.
Hi, I'm an Aussie too, so I have watched Tony's site develop over 20 years.
So, yeah, Baba did that now, George. And that was the first and the last day that I wore my satra and my kasti. I still have them, but yeah, that's the yeah. And what a beautiful message Baba gave us on that now, George.
Just 1 second, Meherwan. I'm trying to think, is there anyone here that would know how to get the video of Meherwan in sync?
In what?
But your video is, you're kind of jerking around, not your, not the normal fashion, but somehow it's going like this.
Yeah, that's the network delay. Jeff, I guess.
Would it be possible that he logs off and log back
Yeah.
in? That sometimes helps out because it
But
might
what
be
Meherwan, what we're thinking
buffering
is,
issues.
if you can go offline and then come back again
Yeah,
and see
logging back again.
if it improves,
Oh,
Yeah,
hi, Mahu.
because
if
your
you do.
voice is not in sync with your
Picture,
picture.
yeah.
Okay. So you want me to get off the
Yeah,
Zoom?
go off and try coming on again
Yeah,
and just
log
see.
out and then log back in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna leave. Okay.
They were like peas in a pod. You couldn't tell which one was which. And then when you did remember which one was which, you forgot which name what went on which.
And Falu, his brothers, lived all these years at Meherzad. Maybe the last, what, 30, 40 years.
And he's a manager of Miraza.
Yeah.
He just runs the operation.
Wow, I hope we didn't lose them altogether.
No, he'll come back.
Alan, you'll have to just kind of pick up where he left off.
I'm filled with some stories that I recall.
And don't hesitate to ask any questions. you
Yeah, I
know.
have a question for him.
Okay,
Some story he said in one of the Sahabas, I like him to share it. It's
Okay.
beautiful
He likes
story.
questions. It jogs his memory because there's so many memories. He likes questions.
yeah, so
Okay.
don't hesitate.
Hi guys. Can you see me now?
Yeah, that's better.
Where are you?
Can you see me?
I can see him. Yeah.
You can
Yes.
see him.
All
Yes,
right.
Huh.
Where am I?
Oh, there you are.
It's
Okay,
better.
good. Am I joking around?
You still are, I guess.
Oh.
But that, I mean, we can follow,
Not as
we
much.
follow the audio fine.
Okay.
It just doesn't quite fit with your body movements.
No, but now I'm holding still now.
Well, it's not a matter of, it's not that part of it.
So
But-
Jeff, one thing that can perhaps be done is to be where the network router is close by. I don't know the arrangement there at Meherwan's place, but if you park yourself, I mean, a little closer to the Wi-Fi router, then there is a chance that the signal will be strong enough for what we observe not to happen.
Okay. Yeah, but this
Perhaps.
is.
I mean, I don't know if it's possible, but I'm just saying.
Oh, hi. This is Sailaj, right? Hi. I'm right. It's on my desktop.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So it's a direct connection.
Okay.
Yeah, Ethernet connection.
Okay. Perfect. Sorry about that.
No, I just.
Continue.
Okay, we were back here at the Navrot.
All right. So where did I? Oh, Baba gave the message. Right. Okay. So he gave a very beautiful message. Here is Baba all the time. He emphasizes about this Sharia, this ceremonies, how they are totally unimportant and a distraction.
This is kind of like your communion
Yes,
or
correct.
whatever.
No,
your-
yes, that's like a communion and
Yeah. Or
like a
bar mitzvah.
like a bar mitzvah for
Yeah.
for the kids. So it is like that, and it's and all this, Baba himself is taking upon it to perform this ceremony. And then he gave this beautiful message. It was very simple, actually, and he was the one who, in fact, suggested that. I was almost in 1960. I was 11 years old. The Naujat was on my birthday, and I was 11 years old. Now Naujat usually is done at what, 7, 8, something like that. So here I was in double digit years. Falu was 3 years younger, so he was like 8, and Sarosh was like 6. And Baba one asked my dad, says, when are you performing the kids' Navjats? Now he's asking my dad, and we were never going to, they were never going to have a Navjat for us, because knowing what Baba gave no importance to these ceremonies. So Baba now himself is asking, when are you going to get this done? Says Baba, whenever you wish. And then he himself agreed to perform the ceremony, which was most amazing. Anyway, so the day was fixed, and this was the Sadra Kasti was done in the hat, and then we just stood in front of Baba, and then each of the hats, the three hats, like the skull caps that they have, the Parsis wear the skull caps. He put them on his own head and then gave it to us. And the same thing with the sadras were given to us, and they were put on us, and the kasti is the thread. And that was the end of the ceremony, 5-10 minutes, and it was done with. And then this message Baba gave. And this is the message. It says, may Aura Mazda Zoroaster, Meher Baba, free you from the superfluous binding of Shariat and help you to lead a life of good thoughts, good words, and good deeds, and bestow on you the grace of loving Baba. And then later, this was the message he gave for that Navjot. And then he says, I have given you this emblem of superficial binding to make you free from this binding and give you the real binding of love. Unless we free ourselves from the bindings of ceremonies and begin to love God as he should be loved, we can never, never know the truth. So these were the messages he gave us for that occasion. That he was using a ceremony to free us from the bindings of ceremony, like something similar to using a needle to take out a thorn from somebody who has a thorn in his leg, and you use a needle to pry it out from someone's leg. So something similar to that. Yeah, Sarosh, Sarosh Irani. Sarosh Irani, his wife Vilu.
Yeah.
You know him.
One of the early Mandali.
The old one. So when she was, Baba would be taking the women out for the movies, and he would be going out at picnics and stuff like that. So we said, what kind of a master is this? He's going on picnics and he's going for movie theaters and all. This is what he's doing. So Baba didn't fit the concept of a master in her mind. So she complained about it to Sarosh. So Sarosh mentioned this to Baba, and says, Baba, she's saying this. So Baba had a good laugh, and he said, I use Maya to take you out of Maya. He uses it so he uses a thorn he uses a needle to take out the thorn. So using Maya to take out Maya. So he uses the same thing to get us out of it. So that's what I was reminded of. So that was our Navjot ceremony.
Mahu had a question.
Hi, Mahu.
Mahu's.
Hi, Meherwan. How are you? Jai Baba.
Jai
And
Baba.
Zenobia, how are you? Jai Baba.
I'm good, thank you.
So my question is, I'm sorry. You actually chose the medical profession and practiced in it for a long time. So my question has two parts. Did Baba make any recommendation for you to study medicine and become a doctor? Or, did he have, or did you ask him about this particular, for your life? And second is, can you tell us that story when Baba was coming to the hospital and visiting, and the nurse brought it to your attention? The story actually I heard from you long ago in LA Sahabas.
What was the second one, Mahu, that you were just talking about?
The second one is, there is a story you actually narrated in one of the Sahabas, LA Sahabas, where I don't remember the detail, but it had something to do when the nurse saw Baba's picture, she disclosed that, oh, I know this man. He's coming here and visiting quite often. Do you remember this? That's a very beautiful story.
Mahu, I don't remember this second story.
Oh, okay, that's okay. I remember.
Maybe you can give me the more detail. I could, but the first one I do. It was
sure.
First
Sure.
one. Now, this is how it happened. I was in my I think it was my last year of high school, and by that time I had made up my mind what I would like to be, because we had to, in the 9th grade, we had to decide whether we are going into science or we are going into arts. So if you went into science, you had to take biology, physics, and chemistry, and if you went into arts, you did the literature and stuff like that. So I had already selected the science part, and then by the time I was in my final year of high school, I had already decided I would like to be a doctor. So then one day, it was in Guru Prasad and Meherji. We were outside on the veranda. Baba had not yet come in the room yet, so we were outside just chit-chatting. And he asked me, what do you plan to do now after your high school? I said, I would like to become a doctor. No, I told him I'd like to become a surgeon. I told him that. I'd like to become a surgeon. So he said, oh, very good. So then a couple of days later, as we were sitting in front of Baba, and I was there, and Jimmy Khan was there next to me at that time. You've heard of Jimmy Khan? Yeah. Jimmy Khan was there. And so Baba looked at Jimmy Khan and says, what do you want to become? And Jimmy Khan said, I want to become a chartered accountant. Chartered accountant is like a CPA in America, a certified public accountant. So Baba said, very good, become a chartered accountant. Then he looked at me and he says, now what do you want to become? So I said, Baba, I would like to become a doctor. So as soon as I said that, Meherji interrupted and said, but why don't you tell about what you told me yesterday or day before? Whatever. I said, so I was a little taken aback. I said, what does it mean? I said, so sensing my, he said, didn't you tell me that you wanted to become a surgeon? So I said, oh yeah. But after all, you first have to become a doctor before you can become a surgeon. It's more training involved for the surgeon. You first become doctor. No, he says, be specific. When Baba asks you something, you have to be specific. So I said, yes, Baba, I would like to become a surgeon. And Baba says, very good, become a surgeon. And then he made a very cryptic remark. He said, become a surgeon, then chop off your father's legs. So I was shook up when Baba said that. And I just sat there. And that was it. Now, why did Baba say that? Baba sometimes says things we don't follow or we don't understand. But the reason behind it, in my understanding, was because he said it because my dad had a lot of problems with his legs. He had phlebitis and varicose ulcers on his feet, and he would have a lot of problems with that. So Baba said, become a surgeon and chop off his father's legs. Now, years passed by, and nothing like that ever happened. But his legs were bothering him. So Baba says something and takes away so many things that can happen. But we don't understand this. We can only speculate. But it was one of the things in my life that I do regret even now. My answer to Baba. When he asked me, what do you want to become? My response should have been, I would like to become what you want me to become. So that was a response, not the proper response. Whatever he wanted me to become, or whatever he wanted me to do, that would be the proper response. But anyway, that was. I have to wait another 700 years for that. So hopefully, I'll learn from this.
Now,
wanting what he wants is, and then let him make the decision, let him choose for us, let him decide for us. And then no worries. So he did not actually, I cannot say that Baba decided for me to become a surgeon. He asked me and I said, Baba, I'd like to become like this. And I said, okay, he agreed. But that didn't mean that he wanted me to be. So there's a difference between that. Wanting what he wants and having him agree to what we want. There's a difference.
Did Baba give you any orders?
No, thank God for that.
But you had some restrictions when you were in your teenage years, right?
I knew I was up in line to get many of the orders that Sohrab and Rustam and even Meherwan Mistry got, because they were there. They were teenagers and older to me. And they had gotten all these orders from Baba. Actually, I was really afraid because the way Sohrab and Rustam got orders, my God, they had this book, you know, the hardcover book, the notebook, and on each side was all these restrictions were there. Well, you can only watch so many movies a week. You have to be home by, if there was a curfew, you can only smoke 5 cigarettes a day, things like that. And these orders are for life. When you get these orders, and they followed all those orders. In fact, after Baba dropped the body and they had come to America, I remember I met them in New Jersey. And he had a cigarette packet. He would smoke a cigarette, 2-3 puffs, extinguish it and put it back in this. So he would continue smoking that same cigarette and until his quota for 5 would be over. But then they stopped on their own, I think, later on. So all these restrictions.
But didn't you have some temporary orders from Baba?
Temporary order? No, I never had any single order from Baba. Not that he
I thought there was one about, you know, if you couldn't touch a woman if you had a lustful thought, something like that.
Oh, no. Oh, I would have gotten all those orders. I know that. See, what happened is this. I had finished my high school, and that was in 1966, 65. And then there was a period before I joined college, like 6-month gap in between. So on a whim, I just applied for the student exchange program that American kids come to India and Indian kids go to America, the foreign exchange student program. And I never expected to get selected. But there were like 16-20 people from all over India that would be selected, and thousands would apply. So I just applied. And to my greatest surprise, my name was called up. Bring all these particulars, this, that, the other. A family in Texas has accepted you, and then so now I was very happy. I said, "Wow, this is great! All the expenses are paid for." So I tell my dad he was going to see Baba on the weekend. Every weekend he and Nariman would go and meet with Baba there. At that time, Baba was in Arizona. So I asked my dad, I said, could you please ask Baba that I got accepted, and then if you would give me the permission to go to America. And I, in my mind, thought, why would Baba say no? I didn't expect him to say no. And I fully expected that Baba would agree with that. But anyway, so when my dad went to Arizona that weekend, so Baba would ask them, how was your trip? Did you all sleep well? Was everything okay? And then he would start the small talk. How was the family? What is new? What about the kids? So at that time, when the opportunity arose, he told Baba that Meherwan got selected for the foreign exchange program, and he has been accepted with a family in Texas. And would you? And he asked, would you give him the permission to go? So Baba said, what is this new thing that he has dug up? the worm digs up the bird digs up the worm from the ground. Is what is this new thing that he has dug up? So Baba, well, he has a period in between his when the schools, the college starts, and now that he can use that time to go to America, that will be a good education for him. So Baba said, but doesn't he want to become a doctor? He says, yes, Baba. Doesn't it take such a long time to become a doctor? Why does he want to go now? So this line of questioning by Baba, my dad says that he is not willing for me to get the permission. At the same time, he's not saying no. He could just say no, and that would be the end of the matter. But the line of his questioning made it very apparent that Baba was not inclined to give his permission. So then my dad said, Baba, if you don't want him to go, he won't go. See, even then he does not say no. He says, but then if I say no, won't he feel hurt? See, so if I say no, won't he feel hurt? So now my dad says, well, Baba, if he loves you, then he'll accept whatever you say. So Baba was pleased with that. He says, okay. But see how he still continues. It doesn't, Baba said, if it's going to be an interruption in his studies, which would be a year lost, so it was an interruption. If it's an interruption in his study, and if he still insists upon going, so Baba didn't say no, he says, if he still insists upon going after having this interruption, and then before he goes to America, he should come and see me. So now this is what happened. So when my dad comes back on Monday, they would leave on Monday, go to work on Monday, and then come home in the evening. So I was waiting for him when he came back from work Monday evening at the door. And I knew that the moment he comes in, he gets debriefed by the first one to get, they get the chance to debrief my dad is my mother. Tell me everything that happened with Baba. So before she can do that, I got hold of my dad. I said, what is his answer? So my dad says, no, wait a second. Let me just freshen up. I said, but did he say yes or did he say no? It's just one word, yes or no. I mean, he said, it's not that simple. I'll explain it to you. So then he just freshens up. And then he tells me exactly what happened, what I just said. And the moment he started saying this, I knew that Baba didn't want me to go. And also I knew, instinctively I knew what was going to happen if I decided to go and then I went to see Baba. It was the going to see Baba was not for a hug and a kiss and say Baba to get his okay. He would have given me a whole list of orders. He says, and all of those orders I knew that Surab and Rustam had gotten were there waiting for me. So I missed getting those orders. Just imagine, you would have ruined my whole time in America if for those orders. If the orders would be exactly the same he got. Curfews would be there. And these are orders for life. So my thought of America at that time was what I saw in the movie, all the beautiful girls and all these fancy cars and swimming pools and everything. That is what I saw about America in the movies, and that I wanted all of it. And Baba would have ruined it for me and with all those orders. But anyway, so that never happened.
So anybody want to ask a question? Any other people? Ask Meherwan.
Jeff, actually, Yasmin had a question. She was asking, like, does Meherwan have regrets about his profession?
No, I love my profession. I still love it. I still read about it. What bothered me most was, at the end actually, was that I was spending more time doing paperwork than taking care of patients. And that was the sad part of it. I don't know. I was doing people.
What, what, I mean, this is kind of personal, but how do you experience Baba now? You were there with him physically, and you had all those intimate times with Baba. And how have you integrated that experience with Baba dropping his body, and you've been there without his physical presence?
Well, it is exactly like this, that you say now, when I came to America, I knew I had my mom and dad there in India. I couldn't see them, I couldn't talk to them, I could write to them letters, stuff like that, but it was from a distance, but I knew they were there. Same way it is like now too, with Baba. Now, the external physical contact is no longer there, but that the inner connection is always there. And that is the single most important thing. All these external connections are there for one reason, is to establish inner connections. And once they are developed, then there is no need for external connections. And this is the thing I keep saying again and again, what I'm saying is nothing but a repetition of what Baba has told us, that all of those who accept him for who he says he is, God in human form, to believe that is no small matter, and to be able to accept him for who he says he is has taken many previous lifetimes to have developed this inner connections. It's the inner spiritual links that, whether you have met him or not met him, are there. And they will be there in our bodies and when we are disembodied, and in our future lives to come. They can never be disrupted. There's only two ways that can be disrupted, this inner spiritual links. Is if we disobey him intentionally and continuously, and if we leave him for another master. If we do any of these two things, that is breaking the internal links. And it does not require his physical presence. People have that misconception. So many people have that misconception. We need a master in the physical form. But if your master is the real one, the perfect one, the only existence, then it is not our physical contact that is of matter. It is this internal links. And like I said, these links are there when we are in body and when we are disembodied too. The link is still there. So it's not just a question of the master being is immaterial. Because
beautiful.
He is the eternal existence. We are the ones who are there and take birth and die. So this physical contact is of course very valuable. It is not a small thing. It's great for good fortune. But at the same time, the more important thing is the internal links. So those who have met Baba, thousands of people have met Baba in his present event, hundreds of thousands. And yet they don't believe in him, they don't accept him. And yet people have never met Baba, and like fish to the water and birds to the sky, they fly spontaneously. It's most natural for them. How did that happen? How is it possible? It is internal links. And because of these internal links that have been developed from, we never know. We have probably met him many times before in his previous advance, and will continue hopefully in the future advance until we are ready, when the time comes to get annihilated in him. But that will be the end of the game when the goal is reached. But that seed of love that he sows in us, that he says he has come to sow in us, it does not just happen to anybody and everybody. It happens with the preparedness and the readiness for it. If the tilling of the ground of the heart of the soil of the heart is done by us, by our preparations from previous lives, many previous lives, millions of previous lives. Then that seed is ready to be sown, and with his nourishment, sunlight and rain, to germinate and bear fruit. And a lover is born. His lover is born. And then the love game starts. So it is like that. It's no small thing. For anybody to say that they love Baba, we just say that. But remember, Baba has told us, love is God's gift to man. We have no capacity of divine love, but we have the capacity to reflect that divine love. By cleaning our hearts, we have the capacity to reflect his love that he has sown in our hearts. It's like he comes and spreads his seeds around everywhere, but the seeds that fall on stone and on concrete, not going to germinate, but on till soil it will. So the preparedness, the till soil is the preparedness of each individual. The readiness of the heart to accept it. And how does we get it ready? By getting rid of our desires little by little by little. Emptying of our hearts and filling so that it is ready to accept and get filled with his love. And so that is the basic thing. That is exactly what Baba means by holding on to him, his down. Two things Baba emphasized over and over and over again. And that was to love God. And the second thing that he kept in, love God above all else, more and more and more and more each day. That was his final prayer that he gave, the third beloved God prayer. That's the only prayer in Baba in which he refers to himself as beloved God. Not just God, but beloved God, God in human form. And help us all to hold fast to Baba's Dharma until the very end. That holding on is just a outward symbolism. But what does it really mean, that holding on? That holding on means is to be able to empty off get rid of our desires, free of them, mental. This is all mental detachment of these things, so that we can hold on to him with both hands. As long as we hold on to other things, then we cannot hold on to him with both hands. So that is what holding on means. And how is the easiest way to hold on to him is to become his. Not easiest, but the only way, actually. How do you become his? Well, becoming like a child, not childish. A child who is totally dependent on his mother. The child has no worries in the world. My mother will take care of me. The moment the child cries, the mother's attention is on the child. So when we become dependent on him, that's the time he takes charge of us. We become his. And he tells us so often, he says, make me yours. Like I have made you mine eternal. Make me yours as I have made you mine eternal. He says that so often. And how do we do that? Is to become dependent on him. Depend only on him. Carry on in this world just as we do, fulfill our responsibilities and our obligations. At the same time, remember that all this is for a little while. And the only thing that really matters is his love that he has given us. We keep saying we love Baba, we love Baba. Of course we love Baba, but after all, it is his love that we have been fortunate enough to receive. That's the important thing, that preparedness has to be there. Everybody is not capable of receiving it. It's just a question of time. It's nothing there we have to sit here and boast about it. Their time will come. They're not ready for it yet. It's like a kid. You can't feed steak to a kid. he has to have his milk and he has to have his pure food. And as the kid grows up, and he gets good teeth, he'll be able to chew and he finally eat steak. So it's like that. Time will come. So how did we come here?
There are a few questions.
Yes. Can I jump in, Jeff?
Yeah, go ahead, Gaur. Yeah.
Jai Baba, Meherwan, Zenobia, so good to see you. So good to see you. Long time, haven't seen. Anyway, somebody just put it, and I was thinking the same thing. I remember this one story that you told a while ago. It was when Zenobia, I think, had gone to India and you were here by yourself in New Jersey, and it's about you and the state trooper. Do you remember that story?
Yeah, that what I remember.
So please narrate that story. I thought that was unique. If that was not Baba being with you, I don't know what was. So
yeah, he showed us in very little ways. Yeah,
how he is with us. Yeah, please go ahead.
He's always with us. He will always tell us that take me with you, keep me with you. I'm always with you.
Right.
Yeah. Remember me, and I'm always with you.
Yeah. So do tell us the story.
Yeah. So it was. I was doing my residency in New Jersey, and so what had happened was Zenobia, my wife, and the kids had gone to India, and I couldn't go at that time. So I was a little low, feeling a little what do you call it, lonely or low, whatever you want to say there. So then this is how this incident happened. One day I was at my hospital in. At that time, it was the Martland Hospital. Right now, it's the University Hospital in Newark. And I was just sitting down I was on call and I was sitting down to have my supper in the cafeteria. It was about to close. And just as I'm sitting down to eat, my beeper goes off. And I pick up the phone, and on the line is this Dr. Gabriola. He's a pediatrician, and he says, "Oh, Dr. Mistry, I'm so glad I could finally get you. I just wanted to thank your cousin. He helped me out, and I forgot to thank him, and that's the reason I'm calling you." And he said that your cousin was a state trooper, a New Jersey state trooper. I said, "Yeah." So I'm saying, what is this guy talking about? I have no cousin who's a state trooper. I mean, he was very sincere. He was talking, and I could sense that this guy was sincere. And I could also sense that it was like a relief to him. What he was telling me was he was getting it off his chest. And I forgot to thank him, but can you please do that for me? So I said, Dr. Gabriel, I will, but I don't have a cousin who's a state trooper. Was it me that he was referring to? Yes. How can I mix up that name, Dr. Mistry? It's a mysterious name. So I couldn't mistake that. And besides, I heard that name on the overhead voice speaker, in the hospital. He was a pediatrician at St. Michael's Hospital. It was one of the satellite hospitals that we rotated through. And I said, I've heard that name on the loudspeaker, so that's how I know. So then something within me was asking, let me ask you. I said, can you tell me what happened? He said, well, I was in the middle of I was on an emergency call to the hospital, and my car broke down on the Garden State Parkway. And I didn't know what to do. So all of a sudden I see this police car behind me, and it's the state trooper, and he offers me a ride to the hospital. And I'm sitting down, and he's driving me to the hospital. So as we were talking, he said, I have a cousin at St. Michael's Hospital who works there. And so I said, oh yeah, well, what's his name? He says, his name is Dr. Mistry. So now I'm even more curious. I said, yeah, you mean he was talking to you? He said, So, what do you mean he was talking to me like that? Kind of a question is what a stupid question you're asking me. Like he was talking to you. And so I said, so now I'm even more curious. So he says, how do you know that he was a state trooper? So now there was an even more stupid question because he says, doctor, his car had on the outside of the car was Bloomfield Barracks. It said New Jersey State Police, Bloomfield Barracks. So now when he's telling me that, I'm feeling so that I must stop asking these stupid questions. And now he's telling me, I ask him, but what did he look like? So he says, he's just like a regular Italian guy, he's telling me, just like a regular Italian guy. So now he's telling me this, Italian guy. And then I said to him, there's only one direct question I asked him. I said, did he have a mustache? So he says, yes, a big bushy mustache. He said, a big bushy mustache. I said, but in that time, the hospital came and he dropped me off and I forgot to thank him. And that's the reason I'm calling. So will you please do that? So now what to tell him? What to tell him? I said, doctor, whenever I see my cousin, I'll thank him. And so that was the end. But from within me immediately, while this conversation was going on, an indescribable feeling that I knew who he was talking about, who he is referring to. I knew it. And so months later, when my final year residency was ending, I said to myself, I got to go and find out from this doctor himself. So I took the book, the beloved book, the Nalawala's book, The Beloved. He has a picture of Baba in there. Baba is with a, he said he looked like a regular Italian guy. So Baba is standing on the ship with his hands there, with a little beret. Have you seen that picture?
Yeah, yeah.
So that one I wanted to show him. So did he look like him? So in the beginning, I take it there and I go in his office. I make an appointment to see him. I go to his office and he looks at I show him the pictures of Baba. He's a regular guy. He's got all of this antique things are in his office. It's strange for a pediatrician. But then I show him the books, the pictures of Baba. He doesn't recognize a single one. And then I said, my God. And I show him that particular one, which I thought Baba looked like a regular Italian guy in that picture. He says, no. So this happened, and I was rather disappointed. I said to myself, he described Baba to me. I felt it within myself when he said that. And he didn't even recognize Baba from the pictures. So I was rather disappointed, actually. But then later on, the thought came to me was, why did I have to do this in the first place? When he gave me the conviction already, when the conviction was there, why did I have to probe it more? There was no reason to do that. So, so at one point in that story is, yes, he gave us that little, I'm there. So at the same time, it also revealed to me that I did not need to do what I did. I was trying to reaffirm or confirm that it was that, but there was no need for that when he had already given me that conviction. See, the master allows you to test him, but having tested and being convinced, don't keep probing and don't keep trying to test again and again, because that's the role of the master, not of the follower, the lover, the disciple. The master allows to be tested once, but once your conviction is there, don't keep doing that. That's his role. So all this happening when I look back. It is not as it is happening, but these are very instructive moments in life. So that was the story of the state trooper.
Yeah. Well, Rainey, let's see. You had a question.
Yes, I would like to know what it was like as little kids to grow up with the most beautiful mother imaginable, who could sing like a nightingale, and Auntie Nagish and Auntie Anavaz and Auntie Franny and all these remarkable women around these three little boys and teenage boys who could then comprehend the wisdom of these women and the beauty of these women and the uniqueness of these women.
You should ask them that. Yeah, but we were very mischievous. Like I said, we drove them crazy, or my mother crazy.
Uh-huh.
We didn't live with our aunts; they were there. But
Yeah.
Let me tell you, without this is the blessedness of children who are born into Baba families. That fortune is there. It comes to them so spontaneously. So our greatest hope in our lives to come is that we are born amongst Baba lovers. To come, future Baba lovers. That way we grow up in that environment. It will become very natural. That does not mean that people born not Baba lovers don't come to Baba. They do all the time. But it becomes so much more easier. A mother is the first guru. The first teacher that a child ever has in his life is his mother. That's why it is said, mother is the first guru. Prophet Muhammad said, paradise is at the feet of the mother. So you will find your paradise at the feet of your mother. So that's what Prophet Muhammad, one of the sayings of Prophet Muhammad. And in our lives, we have many gurus. Mother the first, and then we have our teachers at school who educate us, who increase our knowledge, our family members, our seniors, our peers, our friends. We learn from them. So there are many teachers, many gurus in life, but only one spiritual guru. He is the mother, father, and guru all in. And that is, if we have the fortune of having the perfect one, then no more gurus ever in life. Our search of lifetimes is over. We are no longer seekers. Now or in the future, we are no longer seekers. If we hold on to him, if we hold on with our inner spiritual links to him, we are no longer seekers. We are just his followers. We are his devotees, lovers, and eventually slaves. This is the progression. Seekers over. If Baba, we have accepted Baba as our master, as our murshid, our guru, that's the end of it. Our fates are sealed forever. Whether in this body or the next, whether this body or disembodied, whether in this life or all our future lives to come, he will be the one. He will be under different names, in different forms, but the same guru, the same master. So that's what
I'd like to ask a second question about the family connection, because there's some new people on here, the family connection to this remarkable building, the Samadhi of this altar.
Oh, yes, you see that the dome there, the dome on top of that stone, that dome and the four icons, the religious icons there on the corners, that was Nauroji, my grandpa, maternal grandpa. He was one of the persons in charge of building the dome. He was an architect, and he was in construction. He also helped with the that water tank on top of that building in Meherabad. The water tank was just the lower structure before, and there was an upper level on bed. So the upper level structure and the dome is what Nauroji played a part in.
Mm-hmm.
That was in 39, and in 29 he did that cinema in Nasik, Rustam Cinema, and in 1940 he did He was a part of the construction at Universal Center in Bangalore. Yes. See, that's with the, is that with the dome or without the dome? Yeah, see, that's the dome being constructed, I guess, right? Yeah, yeah. My goodness, where do you get all these pictures from?
I've been a Baba lover for 54 years. There was nothing else to do but collect, right?
Yeah. Oh, well. Yeah.
Let's see what Alan has to, Alan Talbot has a question for you.
Doctor,
Alan, Jai Baba,
Jai Meher Baba. Good to see you.
you
Good
look
to see Jeff. Oh, there we go. Hi, Zenobia.
Jai Baba.
I got Jamshed on, by the way, but he's not showing up. So there's a wonderful story I think the other people would enjoy. So when you were in college and you had this woman in your class, and she was a disciple of Satya Sai Baba's, you know, the magician. Do you recall that story?
Oh, yeah, I do. Yeah, yes, yes.
It's a lovely story.
Yeah. Wow. I was now in medical school, Grant Medical College. It was the same college that, isn't it amazing when I look back? It's the same college that Dr. Neelu went to. It was the same college that Dr. Gohar went to. And then it was the same college that Nagu is the sister of Meru, went to. And then I ended up in that same college too. And then there are several other Babalas who have been there. So the chain is continuing. So, and it's still there. That same hospital is still there. Anyway, so I was in that hospital. I was in my second year of medical school. And this girl, her name, her name was Shireen Dungaji. And then one day, what was happening? I used to wear, at that time, I used to wear a Baba locket on my inner shirt. And there would be a shirt on top of that. And so it was my habit to wear that Baba locket. And I wore that till I was way into my adulthood. And then after a while, I stopped. Now I feel like this outward locket is inside. That locket has gone from my shirt, it's gone inside. In my head. I no longer need to have that physical locket now it's embedded in my head, in my mind. Anyway, so I had that locket there, and then when it would rain, you could see through that shirt because it would stick, the wet shirt would stick on the locket, and you could see the locket. And every now and then I would notice that she would be looking at that locket. I would catch her sneaking a look at Baba's locket there, but she would never ask me. This one time I was walking, and then she again looked at the locket and says, "Who is this?" I said, "That's Meher Baba." He said, "Oh." So he says, my aunt is a lover of Meher Baba." Oh, no, he didn't say lover. He said, "Aunt's a follower of Meher Baba." I said, "What's her name?" He says, "Her name is," she was Dr. Deshmukh's wife. I forget her name.
Indumati.
Indumati, yes, Indumati, yeah. So she's my aunt. Oh, says, "Oh, so she's your aunt." And then I said, and then she's telling me, I'm a follower of Satya Sai Baba. So I said, "Oh." So, and what has he given? What has Baba given you? Meher Baba given you? So for the first time, when she's asking me this, I'm really stuck, and I don't know how to answer her. And my mind is racing. I said, I'm thinking, what did Baba give me that I can answer her? So just to prolong the moment, I'm saying, I ask her another question. Instead of answering her question, I'm asking her the same question back. I said, "But what has Satya Sai Baba given you?" So he says, well, no. He gave me this wristwatch, and she shows me a gold wristwatch. Says, he just pulled it out of thin air and he gave it to me. I said, oh. And then for my brother, he found a job or something like that. And she went on. And as she's taking more time to think, and my mind is still thinking what to answer her. I don't know what to answer her. What is Baba giving you? I didn't have a watch. But I used to borrow my father's watch when I used to take my exams to time myself. So then the answer came. I said, well, Baba never gave me a watch, and I don't have anything to show you, but he has given me something that I will have now, and I will have in all my future lives to come. And every time I share it with somebody, it increases. Oh, so that was her response. So that is, I didn't have to think about it. I think it just spontaneously came, that answer. What he has given us is something that we will have now and forever, and it will keep on increasing. That is what Baba keeps allowing me more and more and more and more, and still yet more. That more is his love. The more we empty ourselves of our desires, the more of his love we will be able to accommodate within ourselves. And the more we share it with others, it will increase by itself. And there is nothing like that that can happen with anything else in the world. Nothing will increase except for love, by sharing. So that was the story of my school friend.
We've got Prakash and Sally. They have a question for you.
Hi.
Jai Baba, Meherwan ji, Jai Baba Zenobia.
Jai Baba, Prakash.
Jai Baba. If I remember correctly, you came to New Jersey to Shilpa's house for a children's sahavas. Is that correct?
Yes.
A few years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. And during that time, you had shared this story about your board exams when you came to this country, and you know how difficult that the exams were at that time, and how you cleared the exam. You had told us how you answered the multiple choice questions. So can you share that story with us?
Yeah, that was a little, well, that was the first time I took exams which were multiple choice exams. You know, you had, in India, the exams we took were essay types. You had to write essays, describe the anatomy of the knee joint. So now you have to write a whole 3-4 pages of the anatomy on the page. Or there would be a question like, describe the surgical procedure on this, that, the other, and then you have to do it all. But in America, it was all, they would ask a question and you would have 3-4 choices of, they would give you the answers and you have to select the right one. Now, in this multiple choice, you also have to time yourself too, because you can't take too much time. Either you know the answer or you don't know the answer. But sometimes what happens is they give you answers which, oh yeah, this is possible and this is also possible. So now you have to figure, but only one is correct. You can't just 2 or 3. It's only one circle that you have to blacken out. So in that case, you don't have too much time to do. So you select which is going to be the most likely answer, and then you take a choice. So like that, in these kind of questions, whenever I was not sure of which one to, I would select the first one would be, like I said, a B. And the next one I didn't know was A. So I would keep on doing that, B, A, B, A, B, of the ones I did not know the correct answer to. But naturally, you can't pass an exam like that. If all the questions you don't know the answer to, you're not going to pass your exam. But the ones that I did not know the answer to, or I had a doubt. This could be correct and that could be correct too. So I would do that. But I passed the exam, so I was relieved. But it was the funny thing is I did that.
Must have been one of those rare occasions when BA just happened to fall into those questions that you didn't have the answer for. You were just lucky.
Yeah. Baba's grace was on you, Meherwan. Jai Baba. Thank you.
That combination will never happen again. So Yasmin has a question. She's still in the tomb. She's coming out.
Jai Baba, Jai Baba.
Yeah.
Every time you call me, some of my network goes somewhere else. Anyway, Jai Baba, Meherwan. I wanted to know that how do you feel, or what is your response when people tell you that you are a reincarnation of Norina?
Well, that's Yasmin. You must always take these things with a pinch of salt. You know, when people talk like that, it's a speculation that they. First of all, how do they know?
You know, she's actually referring to somebody else whose name who has Meherwan, has their first name is Meherwan, and Baba did indicate that this person had been Norina in the past, but he's kind of shy, so I'm not going to give his name out, except
I know who she's referring to, but at the same, what I'm trying to say, Yasmin, is that these we know because Baba has on rare occasions has said that, but there's a reason why he doesn't say that too frequently either. For most people, several times it is going on. So many people have been taking birth again at the same time in the same advent as in the present advent, the Avtaric advent. Some of them have. See, right now we are the 5th generation of Babalas. It's continuing right now. We are the ones that I'm looking at right now, except a few young ones there, are of the 3rd generation. Our children are of the 4th. And now that our grandchildren, which is the 5th generation. But in Baba's own time, in that there have been people who died, and then they could have reincarnated, born again. And Baba very rarely would say that this is that person or this is this person. Very rarely he would say that. And the reason is very obvious, because then again, it's our mind. It goes into our heads, and we then start thinking in that kind of what do you call that I am so and so, and this, of course, you want what you call that acknowledgement from others. So it's not good to our progress. And sometimes you have played a role which is not a very good role to have played, like, because in Baba's ministry, there have been people who have been against Baba too, but they have been very much part of Baba's on the board, on the chessboard. He cannot play his game without opponents. This game that he plays, he needs opponents. Otherwise, the game cannot be played. So, but in people's minds, sometimes an opponent is the bad guy. And if you know those kind of people's names, it puts them off at a disadvantage in the future. So that's why he does not let us know these things. It's not important to know these things. That's why he does not reveal it to us. It becomes a hindrance. And prejudices our minds, and it becomes a hindrance. If we were capable of handling that, then he would tell us. But there is no need to do that. So Yasmin, do you get the thinking behind this?
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Meherwan. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
We got Tony Paterniti.
Hey, Tony. Hello, Tony.
Hello, I put the mic on now. Hi, Meherwan. Hi, Zenobia. It is so good to see you. I feel happy just the moment I see your faces, and it's been too long that I haven't seen you in person. I was just thinking about when you first came to New York, and when you were working in that hospital downtown in Manhattan, and then later with the other one in South Brooklyn, and being in your apartment, and you had a human liver in it, as I recall, and telling us stories about the doctors and the difference, including one particular surgeon, and about the difference in the patients at the two hospitals. And I just want to say it's such a pleasure to see you. It brings back every story you've ever shared over the years, and everyone in your family, which is so much of Baba's presence. So God bless. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank
you.
Okay, Tony.
How is your daughter doing?
Rabia. You know, Meherwan, we have you up past your bedtime.
Oh,
Zenobia was trying to get you to go to bed at 9 o'clock, and here you are. Oh, but we got Dinku.
Jai Baba.
Jai
Hi,
Baba.
Meherwan. Hi, Zenobia. I wonder if you remember me.
hi, Dinku.
Hi, Dinko. How are you?
Fine. I know it's been over 50 years since I think last saw you both when you were in Bombay. Meherwan, I used to live in the flat below yours. I'm born and raised there. Kola.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Kola. Yes, yes, yeah, yeah.
Yes, I just thought I'd say hi.
Hello, hello.
And don't you live within sight of their place, their old place now, or not?
Yeah, I live opposite where Homa and Franny used to stay in the Daruwala flats, if you remember that.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, Yasmin, above Yasmin's
right,
flat, where Yasmin and Pilo used to stay.
Yes, yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's good to see you.
Good seeing you too, Dinko. How is all the family?
Okay, mom and dad have passed on. And everyone's okay, doing all right.
She's been coming on the Zoom sessions for this past year and whatever, year and 4 months.
Yes.
It's been great.
Meherwan, I'd just like to say that, you know, I mean, I wasn't a Baba lover till maybe the late 90s, early 20s. And surprisingly, I realized that throughout my life, I've been sort of in the vicinity of people or places where Baba used to be, or Baba lovers were actually. And it just happened that he's gradually pulled me in. And it was wonderful meeting your mother and Palu, of course, when I went to Merazad years ago.
yeah. Nice to hear that. Yeah.
And Rodanji gave me
That's
such a
right,
warm
Dinku.
welcome.
You're
Sorry?
making us cry, Dinku. That is so touching.
Why?
It's just so touching that he was all around you anyway and loving you
Yes.
anyway. And he brought you along when the time was right. And we have this lovely connection to a place so dear to us through you.
Yeah.
Jai Baba.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jai Baba. Yeah.
The time is right.
Jeff, Mary,
Exactly.
Mary had a question, I guess.
Who did?
Mary Rhodes.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, Marie.
Well, it was way back at the beginning when he was talking about singing for Mara, that Baba asked you to sing for Mara. I was wondering what that was like for you and your brother, what Mara might have said and what you did and what your the experience was like for you to do that?
Marie, it's like I said, it was, I'd never sang before anybody, and that was our first time we did. And so yeah, we were actually glad it was over with. And then Baba, and then Baba told us to go and sing before Meherwan, and then we did that too. We were kids.
Did she respond to you? Did she say anything to you?
Yeah. When we were kids, she would talk with us. Yeah. But
Have you sung since?
Have I what?
Have you sung since?
Have I? I sing all the time. I sing in the bathroom. I always sing when I take my shower, and I still do.
I have another question too. I can't remember this because there was years where I did nothing but read Baba books, and I can't remember if it was from discourses or God Speaks, but I'm almost sure that somewhere in some of these writings, Baba talked about there would be a time when we had evolved to a point that we were beyond karma, in the sense that we'd evolved enough that we could meet people and we remember our past lives, because we wouldn't judge each other. We would be in a place where we could remember our lives with each other and be able to communicate mind to mind and just be grateful for our lives and not judge, like we know we murdered somebody in another life or something like that. We would remember that and maybe hold a grievance still, where humanity had evolved to a place where we could just communicate heart to heart and soul to soul, mind to mind. I don't know where it came from. I just felt it was one of Baba's writings on in the future, when mankind as a new humanity, there wouldn't be any kind of grievances, and we could just merge when we met people in our knowingness.
Yeah, you're right. That's exactly the reason why we do not need to know these things, because we have to move on. Each life is a progression forward, and you don't want to get stuck in reverse. And if we were to know about our past lives, and that's exactly what's going to happen. We have to go forward. That's why Baba would tell us it's not important to know or to do all these. People do so many of these occult things and astrology and astronomy, and to know what? They want to know something that they don't know. So, and all it does is we get stuck in it.
Well, the reason why it's important to me is I've had lots of experiences, and it's not anything I've asked for or wanted or desired. But I mean, there is a knowing sometimes, like say an example was my son-in-law was showing me a book of his family, and he had his grandfather and his great-grandfather, a picture of showing them. And I was just enjoying looking at these pictures, and suddenly my little 8 or 9 month old great-grandson was crawling on the ground, just crawling out. And I knew there was time stopped, and there was just this knowing that little baby that was crawling on the ground was his great-grandfather. Now, I didn't care to know that, but suddenly I just knew. I would go to see my aunt or my niece, and she had a new baby, and I just suddenly knew that was my aunt. Now, I don't know where this comes from. I've never asked for this gift, but the biggest thing is I have a great-granddaughter that she couldn't even hardly talk. And she was crawling still, and she pulled up Baba books and handed them to me and said, "Mir Baba." Just out of the blue, it was discourses, 3 discourses. And she picked it up each time and said, "Mir Baba," and handed it to me. And all I could think of is, I hope she doesn't tell her dad that when he comes to pick her up. Well, she doesn't even talk. And my son-in-law came and picked her up. He's holding her in their arms, just getting ready to leave. And I have a picture of Buddha and Krishna and Baba. And I can't remember, I had 4 big pictures. And she points to them. Now, this is not something I could even realize myself. I'm still learning. This is not something, I hadn't reached a place where I knew God was the only reality there is. She pointed those pictures and she said, Dada, that one and that one and that one and that one. Dada, they're all the same one. As clear as I'm saying that to you just now. He turned so red. He just turned around and walked out. Where does that come from? I mean, she was crawling in diapers yet, and she could say those things out loud. I can't explain that if that's from a future life or if that's from a past life, or that's just a gift that God has given me that I just accept as part of the past and let it go.
Yeah, you're right. Just accept it and then don't give too much importance to it. That's the important thing. Otherwise, we get caught in our own self-importance.
Well, I do put importance to it because I want my granddaughter, she's a born-again Christian, and I can't believe that she could know so much of who Baba is.
Yeah, that's
have that experience and not have any connection now.
It is. She has to have some sort of connection for such a young child to respond the way she did. So the connection has to be there. But other than that, let it progress spontaneously.
I hope so.
That's all.
Thank you.
I think there was somebody else, but we got Judy Robertson from Seattle.
Meherwan.
Meherwan is first. I think Judy was up there first somehow, but anyway, go ahead, Judy.
Hello, Meherwan and Zenobia. It's lovely to see you again.
Hi, Judy.
And there's something I want to share with you that I don't think I shared with you in person. I know I did share that when I first was a resident at Meherwan, Erich, every time he would see me and hug me, he would say, it's Meherwan, Meherwan Mistry has come. Because somehow for Erich, my smile reminded him of you. He said it was the same. But I had the great good fortune to take care of your mother after she fell and broke her hip. And this was over a period of months that and it was also a time when I would actually stay with her because Falu had gone with Gohair and Shelley for medical issues in Pune for a while. And Rhoda Mistry, coming from that very, very special lineage of the Dadachanji family, but she had her own incredible inner strength. When she broke her hip because of her heart condition, she wasn't able to have surgery, as most people do, and get it replaced or get it fixed. So she was living for the rest of her life with bone shards in her flesh of her hip. And this was actually the first few months after her accident. And it required two of us to lift and shift her for anything, even to move her 1 inch. And that would be excruciatingly painful to her. And after I'd been there with her, I mean, I'd known her for years and lived with her and Jimmy, of course, at Meherwan and so forth. But it took some courage. One day, I was alone with her and I asked her, I said, Rhoda, I know that like every time we lift you, even a tiny bit, it's got to be excruciating pain. And never once, not once in all these months, have you ever mentioned or indicated in any way that, you know, what pain you have to have been in. And she looked at me and she said, Judy, I saw Meher Baba's pain. This, which I knew was excruciating to any normal human being, she said, this is nothing. And she meant it fully and completely. That was your mother. She was one of the most amazing human beings I've ever met, and so sweet and unassuming, and yet so incredibly, incredibly strong. And she was Meher Baba's through and through and through. Really, with Rhoda, there was only Meher Baba. Jai Baba.
Beautiful.
That is true. Yeah, Baba used to tease my dad. He would say, Rodi, Baba used to call my mom Rodi. Rodi loves me more than she loves you. Baba he would tease my dad. She loves me more than she does love you. So my dad wouldn't acknowledge that. He said, Baba, I know that.
Yeah.
Her humility was astonishing. You know, I found an old tape of her singing, but it was recorded beautifully. So I went to her and I said, can we make this into a CD? It's so beautiful. She said, I want to listen to it. This is the opposite to Roshan, who couldn't have cared less what I did with her recording. Rhoda wanted to know everything was right for Baba. She listened to it. She said, yes, but put them in this order. So I did that. And then I sent it back with ideas for the cover, which was this, right? No, this won't do. That won't do at all. I'll be bigger than Baba if that's the cover. I want my favorite picture of Baba on the front. So she chose the canned picture. Get one with his eyes sparkling the most. This is my favorite picture of Baba. And then for the CD, she said, now I'm little and Baba's big. She was so humble. And this is the most astonishing, Hugh, when I was learning the songs from her, Hugh recorded her one day. It's just gorgeous. And when she, just before she passed, she heard it, she saw it finished, and she said it had made Baba very happy. She never mentioned herself or me or anything else about it. And that the money that comes from that goes to the trust.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So maybe we'll take just one more question, because you know it's getting up toward, well, hey, here on the East Coast, it's after midnight. This has been fantastic, Meherwan, just to be here with you, and you know, great that you. I'm so happy you agreed to come out this late. But anyway, that Meherwan has a
Hey, Jai
question.
Meher Baba, Meherwan and Zenobia.
Jai Baba.
My question is, I was a little close to Jimmy uncle and Rhoda auntie and Palu. In fact, during the days when they used to stay in their quarters near this Dharamshala, old Dharamshala,
yeah,
I used to go and sit with Jimmy uncle and always used to fight with him whenever he used to smoke cigarettes. And with Rhoda auntie taught me Bujave Narajalate Arti and also Istiak. My question to you, did any of your children has inherited the singing talent of Rhoda? And do you have recordings? And if we got recording, why don't you put it to the Baba family so that people will? Because she was a very good singer, Veera Bhajan, Uma, and also other songs like Tukaram bhajans and all that abangs?
Yeah.
Do you have our recordings?
Merchant, Rene has the recording.
Ren did only one this thing, that is Rhoda Sings for Baba.
Yeah. Those are the main ones.
Yeah.
But I do remember my mom. The answer to your question is whether my singing is horrible, but I do sing. I don't think my kids sing. I've never heard them sing. But they were in the, oh yeah, my niece sings, and she's had a very voice, Mare. Have you heard of Mare?
Awovi's daughter.
Granddaughter. She has a
Oh, beautiful singer, Meher.
Yeah, she sings Meherwan Mistry.
Yeah, and the one song that she sings I love the most is "My Heart Belongs to Mare."
Yeah,
that song. If you ever get a chance, you should ask her to sing that.
Yeah, I know her very well, and she's also knows me. She calls me my uncle, and I'm grateful to you and thank you very much. Jai Meher Baba. I'm sorry I've delayed you a lot. Avtar Meher Baba ki jai.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it was. It's so nice to have talked about Baba and answer your questions, because for me it brings back memories, and that's the only way I get to relive them. And so I enjoyed myself thoroughly. Thank you.
Yeah.
Jai Meher Baba.
Yeah, let's have just a few moments of silence and then. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Wonderful.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Thank
Jai
you,
Baba.
Zenobia.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Avtar Meher Baba ki jai.
Ki jai.
Avtar Meher Baba ki jai.
Avtar Meher
Avtar Meher Baba ki
Avtar Meher Baba
jai.
ki jai. Avtar Meher Baba ki jai.
Thank you, Meherwan and
Zenobia, thank you for your
Thank
lovely
you. Thank you.
Yep.
Lovely to
Jai
see
Thank
Baba.
you.
Meherwan, Zenobia, lovely to see you.
Thank you.
Jai Baba.
Thank you so much.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Jai Baba.
Bye.
Meherwan, this is when everybody comes out of the shadows, you know. They're all a bunch of nameplates, and then suddenly they. But if they're in India, they have problems with the audio and the video both simultaneously. So they'll often just go for the audio.
Well, this was lovely, and we also enjoyed ourselves too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, you're.
Now
Yeah.
Now what do we do, Jeff?
We're going to just fade off into cyberspace. You know, but so yeah, everybody else will gradually disappear.
Oh, all right.
Disappear
Into the
into
oneness of Mayor Baba.
Yeah, into the beyond state of sleep.
Yeah. But thank you. And I know Meherwan said he's only going to do this once. So we've got over 2 hours from him.
Right.
But if you ever get an urge again, it'll be all here for you. We'll show up.
Meherwan, get the urge, get the urge. We need you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Please do.
Yeah. And okay, well.
Jai Baba.
Yeah.
Jai Baba. Bye, Zenobia.
Jai Meher Baba.
Bye, Meherwan. Bye, Zenobia.
Jai
Baba. Jai
Jai
Baba.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Like standing at
Jai
Mary's
Baba.
Jai Baba.
Thank you, Jeff, for hosting. It was beautiful. And
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
Now,
great.
I'll press
Hey,
the
Meherwan, we were really there.
Shall I press the red button now?
Yes.
Yeah, if you go, then we can go.
There you go. There you go. I'm good.
Jai Baba.
Yeah.
Thank you. Many, many
Jai
thanks.
Baba.
Thank you, Baba.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, Baba.